Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to completely change the way you look at your daily commute. We're taking a standard checklist of 25 essential driving rules and transforming it into an active, dynamic journey. We'll be mapping out everything from those crucial moments before you even turn the key, all the way to surviving high-stakes emergencies out on the road.
I want you to ask yourself a serious question. How safe are you really behind the wheel? It is just so easy to fall into complacency, treating driving like this passive chore where we sit back and let muscle memory take over. But here's the truth. Most accidents, whether you're in dense city traffic or out on the open highway, are entirely preventable. That is, if we treat driving as an active, highly focused skill. Okay, let's dive into this and see how we can take back control of our safety.
Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll be hitting 5 distinct stages: before turning the key, mastering the road, the physics of speed, navigating unseen hazards, and finally, surviving sudden emergencies.
All right, let's jump right into stage 1, before turning the key.
Look, setting up your journey correctly prevents roadside failures before they even have a chance to happen. Literally, before you move an inch, you need to do the power check. It's a brilliant little acronym for a walk-around that takes maybe 2 minutes. Petrol, do you have enough fuel? Oil, is it within range? Water, check your coolant and washer fluid. Electrics, make sure your headlights, indicators, and brake lights are all working. And rubber, check your tire condition and pressure. This catches the most common roadside failures right away. Oh, and before you start the engine, plan your route. Knowing exactly where you're going stops you from fumbling with maps later. Because honestly, rushing and uncertainty, they are huge drivers of reckless decisions.
Once you're inside, get yourself adjusted. Tweak that seat so you can fully depress the pedals with a slight bend in your knee and adjust your mirrors to eliminate as many blind spots as you can. Why does all this matter? Well, simply fastening your seatbelt and making sure everybody else does too slashes your fatality risk in a crash by around 45%. That is a massive return on investment for 2 seconds of efforts.
Now, when we hear impairment, our minds instantly go to alcohol. In India, the legal blood alcohol limit is 30 milligrams per 100 milliliters. But remember, your skills start dulling well below that limit. Things like prescription drugs and antihistamines can dangerously alter your reaction times too. But there's another massive factor: drowsiness. Driving with heavy eyelids or drifting between lanes is quite literally as dangerous as drunk driving. If you're feeling it, pull over. A quick 20-minute nap or a caffeinated drink is an absolute lifesaver, and on long trips, you should mandate a break for yourself every 2 hours.
Now that we're prepped, let's move to stage 2, mastering the road.
This is where we transition into the core habits you need the exact second your tires hit the asphalt. Especially in dense city traffic, situations can change in under a single second. And here is a number that should be seared into all of our minds: 4. You are up to 4 times more likely to crash if you're using a handheld phone. That includes checking maps, reading texts, all of it. And if you think a hands-free mount makes it perfectly safe, actually, scratch that. Even hands-free calls are a massive cognitive distraction. The absolute safest rule? Put your phone on silent and leave it face down before you even start moving.
Let's break down exactly why that is. Distractions basically fall into 3 buckets. Visual, taking your eyes off the road. Manual, taking your hands off the wheel to eat or fiddle with the radio. And cognitive, taking your mind off driving to daydream or chat. To combat this, you've got to perform a continuous 360-degree scan. You should be looking 12 to 15 seconds down the road and checking your mirrors every 5 to 8 seconds. A lot of accidents happen not because of what drivers see, but what they completely fail to notice. In chaotic traffic, you absolutely need to know what's behind and beside you, not just what's right in front.
And that brings us to how you interact with everyone else in that 360-degree space. Remember this: signaling is communication. It's not just a courtesy. Before you change lanes or overtake, the sequence is mirror, blind spot check with a quick shoulder glance, signal, and then maneuver. Signaling early on in Indian roads gives everyone else the critical time they need to react. Oh, and those traffic lights? Running a red is a leading cause of T-bone collisions. And an amber light? That's a strict warning to prepare to stop. It is definitely not a challenge to floor it.
All right, let's shift gears into stage 3, the physics of speed.
Speed limits aren't just pulled out of thin air. They are meticulously set based on road design, traffic density, and foot traffic. For instance, in India, residential areas are generally 30 kilometers per hour and urban roads are 50. Going just 10% over these limits completely spikes both your crash probability and the severity of the outcome. The mindset you've got to adopt is simple. The speed limit is a maximum for ideal conditions, not a target.
When you hit rain, fog, or school zones, you absolutely must slow down. The golden rule is, if you can't stop safely within the distance you can see ahead, you're going way too fast. Also, brake early and progressively. Smooth braking saves fuel, saves your tires, and gives the guy behind you time to react. And when it comes to overtaking, always on the right in India, only do it when you have a totally clear, unobstructed view of the road, never on bends or crests of hills.
So, how do you manage your space at those speeds? You use the 3-second rule. Pick a fixed point on the road, like a sign or a tree. When the car ahead of you passes it, start counting. You should pass that same point no sooner than 3 seconds later. That's for normal conditions. But hey, if it's raining or you're hauling down the highway, you've got to drastically stretch that to a 4 to 6 second gap to give your brakes time to actually work.
Which takes us straight into stage 4, navigating unseen hazards.
The environment around you is wild and unpredictable. Wet roads literally double your stopping distances, and get this, just 15 centimeters of moving water is enough to sweep a whole vehicle entirely off course. To handle these unseen dangers, we use specific hazard mitigation tactics. At night, your vision basically shrinks to your headlight beam. Use dipped beams in traffic so you won't blind people, and save the full beams for unlit roads. Next, respect blind spots. Every car has them, but trucks and buses have massive ones. If you can't see their mirrors, they cannot see you. Always turn your head. On city streets, pedestrians and two-wheelers weave constantly. Give them space. Never just assume they've seen you, and when you come up to a zebra crossing, stop entirely. Don't aggressively inch forward.
But out on the long motorways, the biggest hazard might actually be your own brain. Highway hypnosis is a very real, very dangerous phenomenon. It's this trance-like state born from the sheer monotony of the road, and it dangerously slows down your reaction times. Motorways feel deceptively relaxing right up until something happens very fast. You have to actively fight it with conversations, fresh air, and mandatory breaks every 2 hours.
So you're doing everything right. You're focused, scanning the road, keeping your distance. But then the absolute unthinkable happens. What do you do when your brakes suddenly fail?
Welcome to our final phase, Stage 5, surviving sudden emergencies.
This is the high-stakes moment where panic gets you hurt, but relying on physics-based protocols will save your life. If your brakes fail, do not panic. Follow this protocol. First, pump the brake pedal rapidly. In older systems, this can actually restore some hydraulic pressure. Second, downshift progressively through your gears so you can use engine braking to slow down. Third, apply the handbrake, but do it very gently. If you yank that handbrake aggressively, you will lock the rear wheels and throw the car into a catastrophic skid. Finally, look for an escape route and steer toward it, like a runoff area or a gravel verge. Now, what about a sudden tire blowout? Your car is going to pull sharply to one side. The absolute worst thing you can do is panic brake, which will throw you straight into a spin. Instead, grip that steering wheel firmly with both hands. Ease off the accelerator gently, focus on steering straight, and let the car slow down naturally. Only apply gentle braking once you have the vehicle firmly under control. And hey, if you ever find yourself in a rear wheel skid from braking too hard on ice or a slippery road, remember, steer into the direction of the skid to correct it, and don't slam the brakes.
That slippery surface could also cause aquaplaning. This is when a film of water builds up between your tires and the road. Your car effectively starts floating. Your steering goes incredibly light, and the engine revs might suddenly spike. What do? Just ease off the accelerator gently. Do not brake. Do not steer sharply. Just hold the wheel straight until your tires bite the road again. You can prevent this entirely by making sure your tires always have at least 1.6 millimeters of tread depth, and simply slowing down in heavy rain.
Finally, if a collision does happen, take a breath and follow the post-accident protocol. Stop safely, switch on your hazard lights, and check for injuries. In India, dial 112 immediately if someone is hurt. Crucially, do not move injured people unless there's an immediate danger like a fire, because moving them wrong can worsen spinal injuries. Exchange details, document the scene with photos, and remember, India's 2016 Good Samaritan law legally protects bystanders who step up to assist accident victims. So please do not hesitate to help.
We've covered a ton of ground today, from that 2-minute power check before you leave, all the way to surviving aquaplaning and brake failures. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Are you driving actively, or are you just along for the ride? Awareness, preparation, and deeply ingrained habits are literally what stand between you and disaster. Nearly every accident out there is entirely preventable if you choose to take control. So next time you grab those keys, remember the physics, remember the protocols, and choose to be an active driver. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and stay safe out there.